All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the bit of a chaotic morning. We had a couple of people. Oversleep. Good morning, or afternoon, wherever you may be. So we had a few people oversleep, and so the rosters changed a little bit. So everything's just a little bit chaotic today, but that's okay. The good news is I'm going to be announcing next week's tournament tomorrow. So there's more time for everything. Things have just been it's been a wild week, due to Christmas and everything else. Hope you're all having a great day. So our first competition here is going to be between Exploding Hamster and the Gobbo Slayer, both of whom, from what I understand, are fairly well. Exploding Hamster, we of course saw last week with his amazing display with the Skaven. And Gobbo Slayer is somebody whose name I know at the very least. If you follow Turin's tournaments and such, you've probably heard of him. Let's turn that down just a hair. Alright, and without further ado, let's get into this. Let's see, where is it? I don't see it. So yeah, a bit of a wild day. I hope you're all having a good one. We'll be jumping into this in just a little bit. So we have some players returning from last week, some are not. Unfortunately, Turn was going to be here today, but I think he overslept, which, happens. We did have a roleplay session last night with the group from last week. So I've got 2 new episodes of that I'm going to be putting up tomorrow and Sunday. So I hope you all are looking forward to that. If nothing else. Oh, hold up. There we go. Now I can see them all. God, I hate when it does that. All right. Everybody's in. Cool, cool, cool. And what's funny is you'll remember last week we had three greenskin players and 2 Skaven players, but so today we're starting off with a greenskin army versus a dwarf army. Can't wait for the Rat and the Serpent DLC. What units am I hoping are in it? All of them. But my big thing is that I really want them to expand things like... Oh, let me check in on Gabo. I'm more excited for the Lizardman aspect, obviously. If I could get salamanders, and ripperdactyls, and a troglodyte. That's my, like, really big wish list for tomorrow. Whew. I stayed up way too late last night, running that session. Sad thing is we even wrapped up a little early, but that's how it goes. All right. So, let's begin with the dwarves, because the goblins, I think, have a 20 stack, so that's going to be messy. All right, so over here for Gabo Slayer, who's going to be trying to slay some Gabos, we've got 4 units of miners with blasting charges, 2 units of Iron Drakes, 2 units of Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes. The regular Iron Drakes both have at least 1 chevron. On top of that, he's got the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, 3 units of Longbeards with great weapons, 3 units of Slayers, one of which is the Dragonback Slayers, and one of which is Giant Slayers, so lots of nice variety in there. Leading his army, he's got a single Rune Lord, who's got Rune of Negation and Rune of Wrath and Ruin. Okay. So, he's got a pretty wide army for dwarves. Only a single character who's going to be trying to bolster the line here. Yeah. Over 2,000 units over here in Exploding Hamster's army. Speaking of Exploding Hamster's army, so many goblins. It is being led by none other than Wurzag, who's coming in dancing on foot this time. Oh, it looks like we're getting a little bit of lag here. Hopefully that'll sort itself out. Spell-wise, he's got Fists of Gork and Gaze of Mork carrying him today. And then for his army, we've got 4 units of Goblin Spears. Oh yeah, and all of his units have... So all these goblins have triple silver chevrons. So they're all ranked 6. Then he's got 3... Just 3? Oh gosh, they're deploying all over the place. No, 3... 4, looks like 4 units of Nasty Skulkers, also with 5 chevrons on each of them. He's got 3 units of Night Goblin Archers, along with the Rusty Errors. And then he's got the Warlord's Boys and AP Loonies, which the AP Loonies are the Regiment of Renown with Fanatics, while the Warlord's Boys have Armor Sundering in close combat. And then he's got... and then he's got a Night Goblin Shaman over here who has Spiteful Glare, or Vindictive Glare, and he's also got Itchy Nuisance, Wand of Jet, and he's got the Scroll of Leeching, which is a good way to take away Winds of Magic. So the dwarves are going to be in for a pretty rough ride. That's a lot of goblins. That is a lot of goblins. Brian, it's both. Dwarf Gouger is both magic / a runic weapon, and it's a cleverly designed. Uh-oh. Looks like we're having some... Looks like we're having some lag here. We're playing in slow motion at the moment. Hopefully this will settle out in a moment. So already we've got a couple of torpedoes going into the goblins. Looks like just a bunch of misses though. It looks like things are speeding up. Dwarves have already started to react, probably trying to get those miners with blasting charges on the appropriate front lines. That way they can just hit the goblins hard and fast. Looks like the main army is going to be coming from behind. I'm curious what the goblins' overall strategy is. Like if they're just trying to bring out the dwarves on this side so that when the rest of the army arrives, they have to fight less. Looks like the AP loonies have been sighted. Slayers are running in, so he's committed a couple of units over here, just kind of one of each category. These regular goblins obviously are already in sight, and these iron drakes are going to make a mess out of them if they get anywhere close. Okay, so these units back here are starting to be revealed. So we got some fanatics. I love fanatics, and they're really good too, if you can get to use them correctly. Okay, now all the goblins are starting to show up. Okay, he can see Wurzag by now. And he can see all these guys by now. So most of the goblin units are revealed. We got a couple of Iron Drake shots popping off into those goblins. Killed a few. Oh, and here comes the first prime roast. Oh, those goblin fanatics taken down to about 60% of their health and on the verge of breaking from a first volley. That was a beautiful volley. They throw out their fanatics desperately just in time before the unit is just gone. Fanatics do some decent damage. In goes the first Vindictive Glare. Runelord has taken a fair amount of damage already from the nasty Skulkers. He needs to get out of there. All that heavy AP is going to be a problem. Over here, looks like the main lines are engaging. Trollhammer torpedoes firing at the Night Goblin Shaman to mix results, but those Longbeards will make a mess out of him. Over here, we got some more nasty Skulkers going into miners. They will absolutely win that fight. The dwarves have definitely taken the advantage here. The Runelord is just sort of single-handedly acting as a bulwark, though he's got some giant slayers helping him out. But these iron drakes are doing a great job just roasting away most of this goblin line. The archers are coming in now with the rusty arrows. The dwarves are going to have to be very careful about engaging those enemies. Dragonback slayers have a smoke bomb popped on them to slow them down so they won't be able to move too much. Here, some goblins have managed to get into some of the shooting units, but they are pretty badly outnumbered over here. Both of the unbreakable Night Goblin units are fighting on this flank. Here we have Wah popped, which is going to be bringing a lot of these greenskins back, and they're coming in now with a bigger charge. There are still two unengaged goblin units that have been left back here by exploding hamsters, so hopefully he remembers those and brings those in. With goblins, you need every single unit fighting. Most of the units are doing pretty good at dealing pretty significant damage to the dwarves. Most of the minor units are on their way out. Wurzag here is just eating a lot of shots from the Trollhammer torpedoes, but thankfully they don't do too much damage to him, even though they do knock him over. Dragonback Slayers still haven't been given a target yet, and they've got Wurzag right there. He's just right there. If they would just turn around and attack him, they could easily take him out. Looks like the goblins have pretty much lost the mountainside. And here we see the Slayers do notice Wurzag, and they turn around and surround him. He needs to get out of there really fast. Really, really good Fanatic throw. Ah, shame they missed all those Slayers right there. But the Fanatics do cleave through this line here. These miners will be on their way out shortly. Slayers are starting to do some pretty serious damage to Wurzag. He needs to get out of there. Okay, he's starting to make his way out, but those are the Dragonback Slayers, so they will keep up with him very easily. And the Dragonfire units of Dragonfire Pass are the next thing there. Wurzag's leadership is starting to look a little shaky. All of the Goblin Archers have managed to saw their way through most of the Dwarf line, and the Runelord is very, very isolated. The only thing he's got supporting him right now are Iron Drakes. The Night Goblin Shaman is still around holding up leadership for the Greenskins, while Wurzag is being escorted off the battlefield for the moment, though he hasn't broken just yet. Night Goblins are running around, trying to take these units offline. It looks like the angle of the hill here is a little awkward for some of the Iron Drakes. Another big bunch of Slayers going in, doing a little bit decent amount of damage, knocking some people over. Dwarves have won the hill fight, though they're pretty wounded. Here, the Slayers have still not managed to kill Wurzag yet, and the nasty Skulkers are coming in. They do have the melee attack and the damage to cut through the Slayers, and the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass if left alone. Night Goblins with Fanatics have pushed their way through the Longbeards, and they're moving on. I almost think it'd be better to turn them around and throw them into this Slayer fight, to use their poison to get some debuffs here, but those nasty skulkers should do some decent damage. Warzag only has 299 health left, and he is taking shots from the Iron Drakes, though they've just been committed into melee, so they're offline. Group of Fanatics does go out doing a little bit of damage, and there's a smoke bomb here trying to slow these Slayers down as Warzag's trying to get away. The Goblins are falling back again. The Dwarves are rallying into a single patch. We've got the nasty Skulkers engaged with the Rune Lord, who has a smoke bomb on him. If they can kill the Rune Lord, the Goblins might have a chance, or the Goblins might have a chance to turn this around, but it's not looking super great. You can see they just noticed these 2 units of Goblins who are now running in to try and save the day, but unfortunately these are just basic Goblins, and I don't know if they're going to be able to turn things around when the rest of the army is kind of falling apart. Warzag did escape. He might rally if he can get some nearby units to help support him. These Goblins are coming in on these Slayers to hopefully get them off of the nasty Skulkers and allow more units to rally. Night Goblin Shaman maybe looking for an opportunity to get some units back into the fold. Warzag is unfortunately still running, though his leadership is -4. If he can just get to -1, he'll come back. Looks like the Goblins are falling back to try and rally a little bit. They've got some guys coming around the outer flanks. The Dwarves still do have a full health unit of Iron Drakes with half their ammo, which is more than enough to make some good damage. We can see here the rest of the Goblin army has rallied. Warzag is the only thing that hasn't. Maybe if he gets close enough to one of these units, they'll bolster his leadership and get him to pick back up, but it looks like he might just be too far damaged. Down here, we've got Exploding Hamsters, Goblins, taking care of the Slayers. This is a fairly good matchup for these Goblins, actually. Another Rune of Wrath and Ruin, though, going down on this full health unit of Goblins, which is definitely going to get some good mileage. Here are arrows shooting, so it looks like we've got we've got 2 units of Night Goblin Archers and the Rusty Arrows slowly making their way back, starting to hammer at. And Warzag is about to leave the building, which could have a dramatic impact on the leadership of the Greenskins. Most of them are barely above double digits in leadership, and the moment he runs off this battlefield, we could see their leadership unfortunately tank. We got that other unit of Iron Drakes over here. And Gobbo Slayer is just exulting to is just exulting to the ancestor gods over there. And you can tell the moment Warzag went off the battlefield, 2 of these Goblin units that had rallied shattered instantly. Looks like a few of them are stabilizing, but it's not looking super great for the Greenskins. Yeah, looks like most of them are falling back. I mean, there's not a lot of places for them to go, and there's still so many Iron Drakes left. You know, funny enough, I think Exploding Hamster might have just gotten into a moment with his camera where he didn't notice those 2 Goblin units. I think if he had those 2 Goblin units in this engagement where he was winning, but just didn't have quite enough units to bodyguard for Warzag, I think he would have been able to have the win there. But looks like the Dwarves under Gobbo Slayer are going to hold up to their name and take the first victory for today. So unfortunately for the Goblins, there was a lot of Dwarves. There was a lot of Dwarves on the table. You know, there wasn't a unit or a character leading the day. And Hamster, I think he just unfortunately didn't notice those 2 Goblin units until it was too late, which is unfortunate because they would have made a really good bodyguard unit for Warzag. So great game from both players. The Iron Drakes really pulled their weight. They just absolutely butchered the Greenskin line. So with that, we are on to game 2. He just wanted a grilled mushroom. Yep. All right, we are on to Sotek 2. Yeah, I think if the Dwarf army had the usual, like, Dwarf Lord and 2 Runesmiths, I'm pretty sure he would have lost. Due to, yeah, I think he would have lost that matchup. Alright, so this time we're off to Kelp and Koldusk, where we're going to be watching the greatest YouTuber of all time, Professor Pone, versus a King of the Dead. And we've got one of the ultimate... So we had a really good grudge match back there earlier with the greenskins versus the dwarves. And now we've got a... very similar matchup between the Tomb Kings and the Vampire Counts. And as is typical with this kind of matchup, we see that the Empire's not doing so hot. I think Hamster made a good showing. Unfortunately, he just looks like 2 units kind of slipped under his radar, which, I mean, that happens to the best of us on even good days. And we're holding this one earlier than usual. I mean, last time we had the tournament at like 4.5 hours from now. Alright, so let's get going with this. I'll deal with those two in a minute. So, over here for Professor Pone, we've got Manfred von Karstein. Looks like he's bringing to the party mostly death magic. Okay, he's got 2 and 2. So he's got Spirit Leech, he's got Fate of Buna, Invocation of Nehek, and Raise Dead. Then he's got 3 units of Fellbats, a unit of Vargeist, a Terrorgeist, the Dire Pack. Then he's got a front line of 5 Skeleton Warriors, backed up by 3 Graveguard, one of which is the Sternsman, and then some Skeleton Spearmen. So not a lot of heavy damage on the ground here. He's got mostly sustain units, or units that are just kind of designed to survive as long as they can, and he's got a very high damage Air Force, so we'll see how that works out for him. Meanwhile, over here on the Tomb King side, we've got 3 units of Tomb Guard with Halberds. We've got 3 units of Skeleton Spearmen, one of which is King Nekesh's Scorpion Legion. Then we've got 3 units of Ushabti, 2 Tomb Scorpions, 2 Necrotechs, and Grand Hierophant Kotep over here on foot. And he's got the 2 spells that you would expect him to have. He's got the Incantation of Protection and the Incantation of Cursed Blades. Though he does have his Darude Sandstorm if he needs it. So this Tomb King army is certainly not nearly as nasty as the one we saw last week, which is probably for the best. That one was pretty spooky. Alright, whenever you're ready. So let's see if King of the Dead can be as true to his name as Gobbo Slayer was to his. Alright, the game has started. Both armies see each other. We're going to have to see if the larger legion and the dominant air force of Professor Pone can come out on top of the Tomb Kings. Oh, I almost didn't notice. Back here, the Tomb Kings do have 2 sneaky units of Skeleton Horsemen. So now the Vampire Counts can see everything. The Tomb Kings do not have a way to engage any of these air forces, so they're sort of at the mercy of Pone making mistakes. If Pone plays his cards really, really well with all of these flying units, there's not going to be a super easy way for King of the Dead to deal with this. Alright, so the first zombie summon goes down, which already is tying up some of these Tomb Kings with halberds, and you can tell that for a moment King of the Dead seemed to think about turning around to help them out, to keep his army engaged, but the skeleton line timed their charge perfectly, engaged with that front line. The Dire Pack has come in on the back of these Ushabti, and they're going to put that anti-large to good use. We got our first scream at one of the Necrotechs along with the Dragon Breath that unfortunately seemed to whiff and didn't do a whole lot. Here at the center, we've got a unit of Shabti and two Tomb Scorpions that are absolutely cleaving through these Skeleton Warriors as if they're not even there. The rest of the Skeleton Warriors, some of them have moved past and are engaging now in the back line. So we have a unit of Skeleton Horsemen that's getting taken down. We've got our first big sandstorm coming out here into the Sternsmen. Uh-oh! Oh, that's perfect! Just going straight down the line of the Sternsmen. Doesn't look like it... looks like it might have caught up Ushabti, but it absolutely wrecked that unit of skeletons, did a bunch of damage to the Sternsmen, and didn't hit any Tomb Kings. That was a perfect cast. So we can see the back line has pretty much been already dominated by the Vampire Counts, so they've got the Tomb Kings pretty much surrounded, but the Tomb Kings do have a ton of anti-large in this whole contingent. Here we see a Realm of Souls proc going off. That is... I hear Spirit Leeches going off on the Necrotechs. Not sure that's going to do enough damage fast enough. Here we've got the Vargeist diving in on the Ushabti. They do actually do a ton of damage on that charge. Halberds are being engaged by Skeleton Warriors. Big breath attack comes down into Kotep, shaving off about 10 to 15% of his health. Terrorgeist swoops in on these Halberds, just trying to overwhelm them through sheer numbers. Dire Packs, Zombies, and Skeletons all moving in from the back. Manfred dives in here on Grand Hierophant Kotep, and you can see the Tomb Scorpions immediately respond, trying to get in on Manfred and doing some damage. He does throw down an Overcast Invocation of the Heck to protect himself and keep units resurrecting. Things are looking pretty decent for the Tomb Kings, I would say. They do have a lot of really elite units here going toe-to-toe with Manfred, and most of their line is being bolstered by these elite halberds, which is going to make Pone's job a little bit hard. Pone hasn't really been able to do any super great damage to Kotep yet. One of the Necrotechs is almost dead, which would be really good if he could take that out. Another Scream goes down, but another wave of healing comes in for the Tomb Kings, which is going to be very, very helpful, bolstering their life force for a bit. We see a Spirit Leech does go down on Kotep, and the Terrorgeist tries to dive on him, but a Tomb Scorpion manages to get in the way and get thwacked. Here, looks like Kotep is just getting attacked from both sides. His curse goes off, which is going to do a fair amount of damage to all of the units in this engagement. It's just about if these elites can finish off Kotep. He does have an Overcast Nair's Incantation of Protection down on himself, so they're not going to be able to do too much damage. Manfred is getting focused by the Scorpions, but they seem to be having a hard time doing too much damage to him. He is healing considerably fast thanks to the hunger, and he is regenerating tons of Winds of Magic due to his sword and the Master of the Black Ark, so he's regenerating magic like crazy right now. Kotep and everyone else is in there trying to do some damage, but so far this Terrorgeist and Manfred are just sort of weathering the storm, but there are still a ton of Tomb King Halberds left on the battlefield, and the Vampire Counts are running out of units. If they can maybe manage to kill Kotep, they might be able to invoke some leadership issues. We see another Spirit Leech goes down here on Kotep. That's probably his death call right there. See, it's about halfway spent. It just needs one more tick. Oh, alright. Kotep goes down to a Spirit Leech. An unceremonious end for the King of Ceremonies. Manfred does pull back a little bit, but there are still two Necrotechs, one of which is at full health, bolstering the Tomb King battle line. And there are so many Tomb Guard with halberds, and I just don't see a realistic way for the Vampire Counts to deal with them. I mean, the only thing he can really do is just keep spam summoning to try and tie them up in combat, maybe. But these two Scorpions are both still at full health, and they're going to be absolutely wrecking the hell out of any of the infantry the Tomb Kings bother to summon. We get another Scream down there. I'm not 100% sure what it was aiming at. Maybe these Tomb Guard. Looks like it does clip them enough to get their final summon. Or the final thing there. So a unit of Ushabti should be popping up any moment here. Some zombies come up, but I don't think there's a whole lot they're going to be able to do. A Dragon Breath goes down here on the Necrotech, but doesn't seem to connect super well, unfortunately. Really, Pone's only option is he has to kill the Necrotechs. If both the Necrotechs die, then the leadership of the Tomb Kings will go with it, and he could potentially just keep summoning zombies and cycle charging. But an Ushabti summon goes down here, and it looks like they might be able to catch out the Terrorgeist here. Manfred has mostly made his way out to safety. The Terrorgeist looks like he might be stuck, though. Manfred is taking some pretty nasty damage. He's getting fairly close to his leadership. The Toon Scorpions are staying on him. Looks like he's got other large units on him now, so if he doesn't get up in the air really soon, he is definitely screwed. He does get a bit of a summon, and I don't think he's going to be able to get off the ground in time. Yeah, he's got a full surround on him now by the Ushabti, and that seems to be a definite victory for the King of the Dead. It was an excellent fight. Unfortunately, the Vampire Counts just didn't have enough sniping power to get the characters out of the way. He got really close. Unfortunately, there was a Terrorgeist Scream, and the breath attacks from the Zombie Dragon just didn't seem to do any damage. They just sort of bounced off the Necrotex, surprisingly. But there we have army losses kicking in, and the Terrorgeist and Manfred both go down to the Tomb King Horde, and all of those halberds absolutely pulled their weight, man. They outclassed the Tomb King infantry. You know, the regular Grave Guard didn't have enough AP to really cut through them very well, and got diced through themselves because these halberds have really high melee defense. And unfortunately, that's going to be a loss for the Vampire Counts. Alright, so the King of the Dead has managed to claim victory. The Ushabti and the Tomb Scorpions really being the MVPs here. Of course, the halberds were probably the reason that the Tomb Kings were not afraid at all of that Flying Legion. Alright, so with that, we are good to move on to Game 3. Though I need to send a message real quick before we hop into this one. It does that every time. Raws on let's just do Altdorf Outskirts for that. Alright, so now it is Rightist bringing the Warriors of Chaos versus Zardar Total War, who's bringing Tomb Kings this week. I have not watched that interview yet, but I will be sure to do that. Alright, let's see if the Tomb Kings can pull a double victory today, or if they are going to go 1-1. So for the Warriors of Chaos, we have what I can already tell is a nasty army. We've got 3 units of Marauder Horsemen, one of which has throwing axes, 2 units of Warhounds with poison, a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, Kolek Sun Eater himself, of course with his legendary hammer Star Crusher, a Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows with Pendulum, Enfeebling Foe, and Melkos Mystifying Miasma, along with the Scroll of Shielding, which is a ward save buff, 1 use only. Oh, he has... And then he's got 1, 2, 3... 3 units of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and then 2 units of Chaos Marauders. So... Oh no, excuse me, 4 units of Chaos Marauders. So, pretty large Chaos Force, really nice mix of armor piercing and shielded infantry, along with some really heavy anti-large in the double Shaggoth play. Pretty interesting to see that, actually. Most of the time lately, I've almost exclusively seen Dragon Ogres, not Shaggoths. So seeing a double Shaggoth list is fun for me. Then over here, we've got another double Necrotech build, but this time they're being led by the other spellcaster of the Tomb Kings, Archon the Black. He's on a skeletal steed, and he's riding in with Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. We've also got a Bone Giant, a Necrosphinx. We've got a front line of 4 skeleton warriors backed up by a rear of 2 Tomb Guard, 1 Tomb Guard with Halberd, a unit of Bow Shopti, and a unit of Skeleton Archers. So looking at this I think is going to be a fairly uphill battle for the Tomb Kings, I think. They do have some pretty decent ranged attacks coming in here, but those Shaggots are going to be super hard to deal with. So already we've got our first shot coming in from the Bone Giant, which one unlucky soul did not quite manage to get out of the way of in time. So the Tomb Kings do have the authority to dictate where this battle is going to take place, and it looks like he's quite happy on this hill here. The Bow Shopti are running out to hopefully start pinning some shots into this flanking force. Looks like the Bone Giant's just going to wait for the main force to come closer. Looks like the Bow Shopti are retreating just a little bit, and the Warriors of Chaos are slowly getting a full surround. I don't think there's a lot the Tomb Kings can do to prevent that. They only have 3 shooting units, and they're going to be attacked from 3 directions, so they're going to have to be really clever with how they're going to deal with this. Obviously, though, when it comes to true dangers, the throwing axes are probably the most concerning enemy ranged unit. And we have another shot here going in against Kolek. Looks like it clips him, but did it do any damage? Nope. It registered as hitting him, but it did not do any damage at all. Alright, so Warriors of Chaos in range. Another nice juke by the Warriors of Chaos. They have expertly dodged 2 shots now. Bow Shopti have started opening up on the Warriors of Chaos, which these Warriors of Chaos with great weapons need to go down through whatever means. Looks like he fired at them this time, and now they're starting to feel it, Mr. Krabs. Now they're starting to feel it. Yeah, some of them are missing some vital components. Alright, so they're definitely starting to take damage. Looks like the Tomb Kings... a pretty nice hit there from the Bone Giant onto the Chaos Sorcerer. We got an early Overcast Spirit Leech for the extended range over here on Kolek. Battle lines are about to meet. Warriors of Chaos have gotten around completely behind the Tomb King forces, who probably are going to want to turn around so that they have their shields against the missile fire. And here we have the Skeleton Warriors beginning to countercharge. They need to stagger this line and not make it a straight line as much as possible, because if they don't stagger it, a pendulum is going to absolutely annihilate this front line. Here you can see Kolek's actually taking a fair amount of damage from shooting and the Spirit Leech. Necrosphinx does go in, which means it's going to eat a charge from potentially both of these guys. Chaos Sorcerer of Shadow Magic has taken quite a bit of damage from the continuous Bone Giant fighter. Here, Kolek and the Shaggoth have engaged, and there's Spirit Leech going down on Kolek. Archon has activated the Liber Mortis, trying to protect his dear old Necrosphinx here, and he also pops the Elixir of Might from one of the Necrotechs on it, giving it plus 50% weapon strength, and it just cleaves the crap out of Kolek, even with his Scroll of Shielding for the 22% damage resistance. Wow, that 26 melee attack and plus 50% weapon strength is insane. It absolutely butchered those 2 Shaggoths. There we got our first Pendulum of the game. Does pretty reasonable damage to one of the Tomb Guard units. Looking a little dicey though for the Warriors of Chaos. They are getting butchered by that. That Elixir of Might may have single-handedly won the game. Another Spirit Leech goes down on Kolek Sun Eater, taking him down to about 1,500 health. The Necrosphinx has now a Restore on it, and it's just having a grand old time wailing on these 2. But the front line of the Tomb Kings has started to collapse and buckle, and all of their ranged units are getting engaged in melee. We do see that the Necrosphinx is getting overwhelmed, and Overcast Enfeebling Foe is putting him in a really bad spot by knocking his melee defense down to 23. He does get a second Elixir of Might, though, and is attacking Kolek, bringing Kolek down to less than 1,000 HP. We have a Soul Blight going down here, trying to reduce the armor, and a Summoned Ushapti unit, which are going to get absolutely torn apart by Kolek if they're not careful. Another Spirit Leech goes down on Kolek. This might be it for Kolek. He doesn't have any way to protect himself from the foul magics. 400 health. Oh! A shot comes in from the Bone Giant, knocking him down to 200, and he's still barely alive. Archon the Black runs in to hit him in the back, trying to bring him down. He does break, and he's leaving the battlefield. Bone Giant's coming in for a sniper shot. He shoots! He scores! Down goes Kolek Suneater. So, Kolek's down. A Chaos Warrior with Great Weapon unit has begun to break, and and it looks like the Warriors of Chaos have surrendered the match. Little anticlimactic there. I really feel that he could have still turned that around. Well, good game to both players. I feel like Ritus could have potentially won that if he had managed to get off another enfeebling foe and take down the Necrosphinx. The only reason Zardar was able to win that was that double elixir of might. That was really nasty. I don't think I've ever seen that before, actually. Someone using that to just uber buff the Necrosphinx, because the Necrosphinx lured the two of them in, and then got buffed by the elixir of might, and he just butchered both of those Shaggets. Like, that Necrosphinx literally 2v1'd them with the help of, Spirit Leech spam. But still, I mean, I really felt like the Warriors of Chaos had that right up until that. Man, that was just ugly. That was ugly. What a devious strategy from Zardar Total War there. Absolutely devious. All right, so we are off to the final... Oh, no, not host. I need a spectator slot. Let's see. Spectator slot open. And let me go ahead and tell Gabo Slayer you're up against King of the Dead on outdoor on Tower of Oath. Okay, there we go. All right, and today's final battle is between the Vampire Counts and the Dwarves. Well, not today's final battle, but the prelims final battle. Great game, by the way, to both Ritus and Zardar. Man, I really thought Ritus had that. Like, I did not think the Tomb King stood a chance. That Elixir of Might totally caught me off guard. That was a nasty, nasty ploy. That was beautifully devious by Zardar. Something I would expect of Archon the Black. Yeah, a lot of undead this week, but no Vampire Coast, who won last week, so that's kind of surprising. Alright, so both of these factions we have seen earlier today. No three-peats this week, though. We had 2 Tomb King players, 2 Vampire Count players, and 2 Dwarf players. But no three-peats. And we're going back to an old classic of a map, Altdorf Outskirts. Probably the most popular tournament map, I would say, or competitive map. Hello, Corin. Any predictions, folks? For who you think is going to come out on top this time? Oh, my back. Oh, there we go. Not like when you have to like realign your vertebrae because you've been leaning over. I see some Roz fans in here. And just a reminder, folks, that next week, this one is Roz versus... I'm gonna brain fart. I'll remember shortly. But it's Vampire Counts versus Dwarves. Do I play Age of Sigmar? Yeah, I do. Looks like somebody's having a little bit difficulty loading in. Oh, it's Roz versus Dossect. There we go. Now I remember. Which Dossect is actually a member of my community. So... I hope he gives us a great show, win or loss. So, looking over here at the Vampire Counts, we've got an army that's after my own heart, because it's led by none other than Heinrich Himmler, my favorite of the Vampire Count lords we have in the game. He's got the Krell Summon, Raise Dead, and Invocation of Nehek. We've also got a White King on foot bodyguard with Heroic Killing Blow. We've got a Corpse Carver Unholy Lodestone, the Dire Pack, another unit of Dire Wolves. We got 2 units of Blood Knights, 1 unit of Fell Bats to run screen cover. We got the Feasters in the Dusk. We got 1, 2, 3 units of Graveguard, one of which is the Sternsman. 2 units of Zombies for a slow but tanky front line, and 2 units of Skeleton Spearmen. And look, you can already see those sneaky Vampire Counts getting up to what they do best. Meanwhile, over on the bearded side of things, we've got a Gyrocopter, we've got a unit of Thunderers, Ulthar's Raiders, Quarrelers, we've got an Organ Gun, 2 units of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, 2 units of regular Dwarf Warriors, we got a unit of Hammerers, the Kingsguard themselves, with 3 Chevrons starting off. We got another unit of Quarrelers, another unit of Thunderers, a unit of Giant Slayers acting as a rear guard, and we got Thorgrim Grudgebearer, the High King himself. It looks like he's got all of his goodies. He's got the High King buff, he's got the Book of Grudges, he's got the Oath of Vengeance, and Stand Your Ground. Pretty nice looking army. And then we got a Runesmith here with Wrath of Ruin, and interesting, he has the Rune of Armor instead of the Rune of Negation. Rune of Oath and Steel. So this will be interesting. We'll have to see how this goes. The Dwarf army might be a little heavier than it needs to be on ranged firepower. That being said, this army they're fighting up against is definitely an army that they can contest with. Oh, okay, looks like we're starting. Alright, so really this comes down to can the dwarves deal with all of the... If the dwarves can deal with the direwolves and the blood knights before they get into all of this goodness, then I think they'll come out on top. Not sure what the plan is here. This is a little funny looking. All those dwarves are a little tightly packed. Alright, Organ Gun's moving forward a little bit, probably trying to just draw up range. You want to be careful on this map that you don't go too far forward, because all of these forests can potentially block bullets. So typically the further back your War Machine is, it tends to be the better. That way you have longer time of the enemy having to move through open terrain. So personally, I would actually pull back the Organ Gun to probably right between these 2 forests, but we'll see how that goes. He does open an early shot on the Fellbats, which does do some pretty considerable damage to them. Kills about 9 models. If he can get the Fellbats off the battlefield, it would allow the gyrocopters to fly around with impunity. But the vampire counts, or the dwarves, do need to be very careful about where they send the gyrocopters, because the Fellbats can beat them in a fight. Organ Gun does seem to open up on, I think it was firing at the Fellbats again, and just accidentally killed a random Graveguard. Nope, it's definitely firing at the Graveguard. Okay. Okay, so you can see the gyrocopters are trying to figure out where they need to go. More Fellbats are swooping in to probably catch them in a trap. All the different Direwolf units and the Feasters of the Dusk are just waiting patiently for their moment to shine. Organ Gun is trying to do some good damage. This hill is a little bit of a line of sight blocker. If I were him, I'd probably go ahead and focus the Organ Gun on the Sternsman, especially since the Organ Gun's more likely to kill the models outright and prevent them from regenning. Sternsmen are a really good target for that sort of fire. But it looks like the Organ Gun is falling back for now. Dwarf front line is starting to move up a bit. There's a lot of hiding and sneaking going on from both sides. Krell has not yet revealed himself. Kemmler is still wondering if Krell got the memo about what battlefield he was supposed to show up on. Okay, it looks like the gyrocopters are flying around trying to get something done. Oh, they go for a bombing run on some zombies. It's not the most effective. Organ Gun does open up on the Sternsman, getting a few early kills. Corlers are doing some pretty good damage to the zombies, though they need to focus down these Fellbats as soon as possible. Here, the Skeleton Spearmen are now in range of the killing ground, and they are going to take some pretty decent damage from all this combined fire. White King is nearly into the fight. The dwarves need to get out of this formation. This is not a good formation. Alright, we got a big Invocation of the Heck going down, which is going to bolster the front line. Dwarves give the charge order a little late, but still good enough to get their charge order. Thorgrim pops Danger Ground and runs into battle against the Sternsmen. Here, the Fellbats have caught the gyrocopter, but their leadership is low enough the gyrocopter might be able to win that. Unfortunately, it looks like some zombies are going to get onto the Organ Gun, which is going to be really bad for the Organ Gun. Here, the Skeleton Spearman unit is getting absolutely torn apart by all the shooting. They're doing a great job there. They do turn around to deal with the Dire Pack. Ulthar's Raiders should be able to beat them. Looks like they just charge into battle. They do have regen, fairly decent combat stats. However, there's a whole nother unit coming in, which is going to be really bad for those Thunderers. Here, the Blood Knights have gotten into a unit of Quarrelers and already broken them. Giant Slayers are busy fighting the Feasters in the Dusk, which is not a good matchup for the Giant Slayers. They're going to take way too much damage in that exchange. They need to get out of there and focus on taking out the Blood Knights. In the main battle line, things are going okay for the Dwarves, but Krell is out here now. And Krell is going to be very good against these Hammerers. The Hammerers should do exceedingly well against this entire front line, but with the Unholy Lodestone constantly healing everyone here, and the spam healing from Kemmler has wandered out a little bit. He's a little isolated. If Thorgrim can pop the Oath of Vengeance on Kemmler and just kick the crap out of him and kill him, he might have a chance with just this dwarf super Death Star here. But Kemmler does pop the Cloak of Mist and Shadows and is trying to get away from Thorgrim. Thorgrim does do magic damage, so the Cloak of Mist and Shadows is not going to be helping Kemmler at all right now. Looks like some kind of effect is going down here. Oh, that was Rune of Wrath and Ruin. Alright, so the gyrocopters are gone, the Organ Gun is gone, Ulthar's Raiders are gone. The Quarrelers might be okay, but they won't be for long. Here, the Giant Slayers have gone on a unit of Blood Knights, which is going to be great, and they've engaged them in the forest, which means the Blood Knights are working at a penalty, which will also help them. You can see here, Kemmler did get the Oath of Vengeance popped on him and got ripped down to about half health, including his healing cap. So, I mean, he took a ton of damage, and oh my gosh, the Hammerers are absolutely destroying Krell. I mean, look at that. He's already at his healing cap. That is insane. Look at his health. It's just getting chomped. Yeah, those Hammerers are having none of his crap, and down goes Krell. Killed by the dwarves yet again. Put back in his grave. Thorgrim is absolutely annihilating the Vampire Count front line. There is still a White King in here who does pop Heroic Killing Blow and jump on the Runesmith. If he can kill this Runesmith, that would be a really good catch for the Vampire Counts. You can see there goes down another Invocation to Heck. It looks like Thorgrim might be trying to push his way out, but at this point it'd probably be better for him. I mean, he could go up against the Corpse Cart and try and finish it off. Looks like little bits and pieces of the Dwarf army are rallying. Giant Slayers, looks like they gave up on fighting. Oh, it looks like they might still be chasing these Blood Knights. They're fighting zombies right now, but they're summoned zombies, so that's a complete waste of those Giant Slayers. You don't want them in that engagement. Looks like the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons here have managed to destroy all the zombies back here. They are trying to help the Runesmith in his little duel here, but they need to get... Both these Dwarf Warrior units should probably collapse in on this White King and just try and cut him down to size and get that Runesmith to safety. Here we can see Thorgrim is probably trying to get after Kimmler, though at this point I would just go after the Corpse Cart, honestly. If you could take, or just run into melee and fight. I mean, Thorgrim is really strong, but he's not really fast. And if these Blood Knights get on Thorgrim, that could be disastrous. Because he does count as a large entity, so they are going to do a ton of damage. Hammers are not in the fight right now. They need to get back in the fight. They need to get back in there. The Hammers are the only reason the Dwarves are doing okay in this engagement. If the Hammers don't engage immediately, there are going to be some problems. Here, the Giant Slayers, still 19 of them left. They're still fighting these zombies, which is not ideal. Ulthar's Raiders have rallied and are doing their best here. Looks like somebody just popped something. Oh, Undeath Resurgent, which is bolstering the Undead. Looks like the Hammers are back in the fray fighting against the Sternsmen, which is a perfectly good matchup for them. And it looks like they're... If they could... That Corpse Cart needs to die. Actually, you know what? So many of these units are at their healing cap. Maybe it'd be better just to fight them all at this point. Looks like another summon's coming in from Kimmler. He does have the Rune of Wrath and Ruin on him, which unfortunately is not the best use of Wrath and Ruin. Wrath and Ruin does not do a lot of damage to single entities, as you can see here. Wrath and Ruin would have been much better to cast against this full health unit of Graveguard, or I probably would have cast it on these Blood Knights. If he could have hit the Blood Knights with Wrath and Ruin, that actually would have done some pretty considerable damage, but the Dwarves had a moment where it looked like they might have been able to win this, but it's not looking super great now. That being said, Kimmler is surrounded by Hammers, and if he's going to go the way of Krell if he doesn't get out of there in about 2 seconds. His leadership is stabilized, and he's not taking a ton of... he's a -1, 13, -5. If he starts crumbling, he'll probably die. That being said, looks like most of the Dwarf Warriors have panicked are panicking. Kimmler's leadership is just bouncing all over the place. Looks like he has managed to get out just barely. 200 health. Alright, Kimmler manages to slip away. It looks like Thorgrim's trying too hard to chase him. Like, just don't worry about him. Yep, Kimmler gets away with 240 health. He is wavering highly between all that, between rallying and not rallying. Corpse Cart gets the Oath of Vengeance popped on it and proceeds to get absolutely shredded. When that blows up, that'll be a good catch for the Dwarves, but the Hammers are completely surrounded. The Corpse Cart does shatter, and it's gone, which is good for the Dwarves. And the Dwarves do keep rallying, which is not great for the Vampire Counts. Thorgrim needs to just support the Hammers and fight to the bitter end. That's really the only thing he can do. The High King buff has popped now. Or at least it should have popped by now, right? Is he not below 50% health yet? Maybe not. The High King buff... Ooh, if that High King buff doesn't go off in time, then... the Hammers are broken. Alright, the Hammers have broken, and there's no way the Vampire Counts are going to let them rally. And the rest of the Dwarf line collapses. Great game, though. Only thing left is just 4 Giant Slayers who look like they might be trying to snipe out Kimmler at the end here. Nah, it looks like they go in and commit to their death. You know, funny enough, that was a really bizarre Dwarf strategy, but it almost worked. I think if the Dwarves had spread out their battle line a little bit more than they did, there would have been potential for that random little Death Star of theirs to do well. And if there's one thing I've learned is that Hammers are really hard for Vampire Counts to deal with. Hammers are insanely strong. Alright, so the Dwarves have fallen, but the vampire counts have claimed vengeance. So of the 3 races we've seen today, that have 2 guys, I think the Tomb Kings are the only ones that both made it through. So a great game to Roz and Dosick. I thought Dosick was doomed at first, but those hammers just started cleaving people. I mean, they put in some work. Krell got annihilated. But great game to both players. Great game to both players. Alright, we are off to the first of the semis. And we've got King of the Dead versus Gabo Slayer. Let me tell the second semi where they're going to be on. Which it's Roz versus Zardar on You're in the book now. So it seems like Tomb Kings so far are the most popular faction for this this tournament type. I wonder if that'll change next week when I institute the new rules to try and bring in even more balanced armies. Oh, Dosick, don't be hard on yourself. We all gotta start somewhere, brother. Have y'all seen when I first started playing in tournaments? I was awful.
Charge complete.
Oh, thank you. What are the new rules? So the new rules are going to be more like Tabletop, which is going to be the new rules. I'll explain them in a video tomorrow. Has Gabo King returned? Nemanja, I've heard he's back, but I haven't seen him around. I don't know if he's playing Total War Warhammer right now or not. Am I wearing a TCU shirt? Yes. By happenstance, I am. It's just the shirt I grabbed out of the closet today. Alright. So, just a reminder of the 2 armies here. For King of the Dead, who has proven himself so far the King of the Dead, has 3 Skeleton Spearmen, one of which is King to Catch a Scorpion Legion. He's then got 3 Tomb Guard with Halberds, 2 Tomb Scorpions, backed up by 2 Necrotechs, 3 units of Ushabti, and Grand Hierophant Katep with 2 spells. Then on the Dwarf side, we've got a Rune Lord with 2 units of Iron Drakes, 2 units of Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes, 3 units of Slayers, one of which is the Dragonback Slayers, one of which is Giant Slayers. 3 units... Is it only... I thought it was more than that. 3 units of Longbeards with Great Weapons, Dragonback Slayers, and then 4 units of Miners with Blasting Charges. So the Dwarves definitely have the firepower they need to overwhelm this Tomb King army. The question is whether they can protect that firepower. But honestly, the Dwarf army is looking pretty good for this fight. I'm not super sure the Tomb Kings are going to be able to win this one out. Go, go. When ready. I can't wait for y'all to see the new thumbnail I just got from Lady Turin for the second roleplay session, which will be episode 4 for you guys. I think y'all will like it a lot. It's pretty awesome. Alright, we're gonna see if charred bones is the answer or not. Again. Here we go. Alright, 2 of them see each other. Nobody's using any foresty tricks this time. I lied. There's 2 skeletal horsemen hiding in the forest. So, oh, and the dwarves just... The dwarves smack over some elven architecture just for good measure. Because screw the elves, right? Just just cutting it all down. Alright, dwarves look like they're quickly rearranging their front line to match up against the Tomb Kings. Vice versa, which actually kind of works out well for the dwarves because they'll be exposing less of an obvious flank to the forest. Both of them are attackers though, so after they finish rearranging their battle line, they will need to run towards each other. Okay, good. Nobody's... I was about to say. Man, it's like they were in sync. They both moved forward at the same time. Alright, so we're just going to have a climactic meet in the middle here. Really, it comes down to these Trollhammer torpedoes. If the dwarves can protect the torpedoes from the Ushabti and the Tomb Scorpions, I don't think the Tomb Kings stand a chance. But the Tomb Kings probably can just bully their way through. Oh, we got an early Wrath and Ruin down on the Tomb Guard with halberds. Really good pick there. Just gonna do some really nice early damage to that full health unit. Alright. Interesting formation for the Iron Drakes. I normally spread them out all the way, but I'm curious why he keeps them super condensed. Alright, Iron Drakes are opening up fire. Oh! Oh! Oh, wow, that actually did a lot of damage to an elite unit. I mean, granted, Tomb Guard don't really have armor. They only have 50 armor, but damn! Yeah, they will have no problem melting through that. Alright, dwarves are all going in. Blasting charges, do some really good early damage. Oh, wow, that was a really good cast. Oh, the Sandstorm. Cuts that miner unit in half. Alright, the skeleton horsemen are in position. Now it's just a matter of seeing if the rest of the army can be where it needs to be. The Longbeards are going to dominate all of these frontline battles without any problems. And you can see the Ushabti have gotten amongst the Iron Drakes, which is not good for the Iron Drakes. These Slayers need to get in and cut these guys down and get them out of here. These Iron Drakes have pulled back to safety. Katep is in the wrong neighborhood. There are giant slayers there. There are Longbeards, and there are miners. And oh my gosh, the Tomb Kings are getting obliterated by all this firepower. Looks like the unit of Skeleton Horsemen is riding in to break this little pocket. These Iron Drakes need to get out of there. Looks like we've got some Slayers chasing off a Tomb Scorpion along with the Iron Drake torpedoes, which their torpedoes staggered the Scorpion so that he could get caught by the Slayers. Skeleton Warriors seem to have accidentally bumped into them. Iron Drakes are trying to chase off the Horsemen, which the Horsemen are the best answer the Dwarves have right now to keeping these Iron Drakes offline. Miners do manage to get in the way in time, along with the Rune Lord, to block the Horsemen to make sure they don't catch these poor Iron Drakes. But in comes the Scorpion. Looks like he's going for the Rune Lord, which he's got a really nice anti-infantry bonus, which is going to really help in that particular matchup. Tomb Guard here are trying to catch up with these dwarves to keep them occupied, but it looks like it's kind of an all-out battle for these Trollhammer torpedoes right here. This unit of halberds is about to collapse. Over here, the dwarf army is doing fairly well. They're holding the line, but there's a lot of Ushabti over here starting to make their way over, and these Necrotechs are helping these Tomb Scorpions stay healthy and keep pushing through this line. Both units of Iron Drakes are offline. Another Ushabti unit is summoned, which are going to get a really, really nice flank and rear charge into these poor dwarves here who are getting really overwhelmed. And that's the last Realm of Souls proc going off. This flank is completely collapsed down to the power of the Tomb Kings. What the heck? Oh no, was that a unit that pulled back? I thought that was a unit he just summoned. Huh. Okay. Anyway, so the Ushabti have completely overwhelmed this flank, especially thanks to the terror of the Tomb Scorpion. All these dwarves are running for their lives. Over here, a new unit of Ushabti has been summoned, but there are some Longbeards here in fairly good health who should be able to hold them off for a bit. Iron Drakes, if they can reform and shoot at these Ushabti, they will eliminate the only really true remaining threat to them that's on the battlefield. And they can begin to fire with impunity at that point. Some more nasty spells going down from Katep. It looks like he's throwing down damage spells in some places. King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion looks like they got burnt out. Dwarves are starting to rally, trying to make their way in. A couple of blasting charges going off. Really big fat melee in the center here, but it's looking pretty dicey for the dwarves now. The dwarf army seemed like they really had it under control, but looks like the Tomb Kings just threw really, really good cycle charging of just pinballing between the two major combats. Looks like they might have the dwarves on the back foot here. That Ushabti summon in particular really seems to have doomed the dwarves. I mean, these guys aren't affected by leadership because they're an unbreakable summon. So if the Trollhammer torpedoes aren't able to do anything to deal with them, no, that's it. Terror kicks in around the battlefield. Army losses is kicked in. The runes and everybody shatters. Man, dark day for the Dwarven Empire. Dark day. King of the Dead with DJ Katep will be going into the finals. Pretty ruthless game, though. That early dwarf firepower was really strong, but the Tomb Kings were able to take it back with their constructs. Alright. Another game, another day. The dwarves were mighty, but they weren't mighty enough. The only thing I can think is that maybe the dwarves spread out a little too wide, which allowed the Tomb Kings to sort of do a really good job of ping-ponging between the two lines. Because the dwarves did a really good job of tearing apart the Tomb King infantry, but all of the Ushabti and the Tomb Scorpions were just, I mean, even with the double Iron Drake and the Giant Slayers, and the double unit of regular Slayers, the constructs were virtually untouched. Granted, they probably used both of their heals, but fortunately it just wasn't enough to carry them through to victory. Alright, let's head off to the next semifinals, if the maps will load up. There we go. It's going in the book. So unfortunately, the dwarves have been cast down on this dark, terrible day. So now we've got a rematch from, I believe, Zardar's perspective. Wait, no. I think the other vampire counts on the other side. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So we've got Raz up against Zardar. We've got the Kemler versus Archon the Black. So this is actually a very, very fun thematic army, as these two hate each other. So this is a good battle of worst enemies. Last time, well, in the end times, when they finally have their climactic final battle, the Lich Master was the one who was defeated. But we'll have to see if who will truly be victorious this time, the Lich King or the Lich Master. So, just a reminder of last time's armies, starting with Roz and his Vampire Count army. He's got 2 units of Fellbats, 2 units of Blood Knights, 2 units of Zombies, 2 units of Skeleton Warriors with Spears, 3 units of Graveguard, one of which is the Sternsmen. He's got the Feasters in the Dusk, 2 units of Dire Wolves, one of which is the Dire Pack. He's got Heinrich Himmler with 2 spells, Invocation of the Heck and Raise Dead, White King with Heroic Killing Blow, and a Corpse Cart with Unholy Lodestone. And then over on the Tomb King side of the equation, we've got 4 units of Skeleton Warriors, 2 units of Tomb Guard, 1 unit of Tomb Guard with Halberds, 1 unit of Skeleton Archers, 1 unit of Ushapti with Great Bow, a Bone Giant, a Necrosphinx, 2 units of Necrotechs who have Restore and the Elixir of Might, but I don't think either of them are rocking their passives. No, they don't have passives. These guys are literally just buff wagons. They have the Elixir of Might and Restore. That's it. And then we've got Archon the Black on his pony with all of his items and Soul Blight and Spirit Leech. Should be a great game. No, Mark, once you've locked in your list to me before the tournament and in this format, you're stuck with that list the entire game or the entire tournament. $14 Fellbats. Yeah, Spirit Leech is not the most exciting spell in the game, but at least it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. Spirit Leech used to be so much worse. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Fate of Buna. Spirit Leech I'm willing to forgive because some factions, it's one of their only reasonable answers to killing certain characters or monsters. But, yeah. Undertaker, it'll be a Word document. I might make it into a PDF, but it'll start off as a Word document for now. Remember the days of, yeah, Fate of Buna spam? Yeah, it was awful. Alright, we're waiting on somebody. Not sure who it is, but... Oh, Dosset, he's talking about the new rules I'm going to be implementing tomorrow. Alright, so it begins! Tomb Kings definitely have the superior range here with 3 different calibers of ranged attacks. And the Bone Giant's already almost in range. Tomb Kings are definitely going to need to hustle across the battlefield, and Kimmler needs to be careful. The Bone Giant is actually very good at killing Kimmler if Kimmler's not on his juke game. Tentox, we'll have to see. The dwarves, so far the Tomb Kings are the race that's done the best. Dwarves have already been knocked out this week. There were 2 dwarf players, and unfortunately they have both fallen. One in the quarterfinals and one in the semifinals. Alright, so we've already had some zombies explode into some lovely chunks. Undertaker, no, because I already have all that stuff in my head. I had already pretty much categorized everything a while back. Alright, oh, so he's focusing the Corpse Cart with the Bone Giant, which is brilliant. Because A, the Corpse Cart has anti-large damage, which is great, so he'll do bonus damage. And second of all, the Corpse Cart is way too slow to dodge. It has 0 hope of dodging that attack. So that is a perfect target for the Bone Giant. So alright, so Kimmler actually does throw down an Invocation of Nehek on it to give it some heals. And we are getting a little bit of lag Hopefully that'll peter itself out. Yeah, Dills, every week we only have 8 players because... Oh, I see why you're laughing. Because of what Dosick said. He tied for 5th. Oh, man, we are getting some... I don't know which of these dudes has a bit of a toaster, but hopefully it speeds up soon. I love that effect. The effect of the Bone Giant is so great. Come on. Come on. Alright. So the flanking forces of the vampire counts are starting to reveal themselves. Feasters in the Dusk are out. I can see maybe the skeleton archers being dedicated to deal with them, but that's probably it. Looks like the bow shopti are focusing the Sternsmen, and they've already killed 9 of them, despite the low amount of damage. So you can tell that each one of their attacks is actually doing, is getting model kills, which is really good on a regenerating unit. Because you can see the Sternsmen right now, they're not regenerating. They're at full health because they can't regenerate lost models. So that's actually really good for the... Ooh! Well, that rank's gone. Alright, another Invocation of Heck down on the corpse cart. Just trying to keep it alive, at least till the battle lines meet and the shooting is taken offline. Here you can see all the different Direwolf units, and the Blood Knights are just slowly circling like sharks, waiting for an opening. Feasters of the Dusk are coming in, which Tomb Guard should be more than capable of dealing with them. Zombies are slowly but surely getting melted by skeleton archers. Oh, is that a flank shot? Oh, nasty. Yeah, that dropped 4 Blood Knights with a single shot. That's really good. Alright, archers are now focusing the corpse cart, which is good. It's maxed its healing cap, so it can no longer regenerate. Looks like we've already got our first Spirit Leech going down on Heinrich Himmler, who has summoned Grell! And he's probably going to start wailing on these bow shopti. We got Liber Mortis down here. These skeleton warriors managed to thread the needle here and get right into these Ushopti. And that that Necrosphinx is beelining for Krell. With the bonus... Krell might actually be able to do some pretty considerable damage to that thing, because he's not a large entity, so it's not going to have its humongous bonus versus large against him. Ugh, this is laggy. Alright, so we've got a Soul Blight going down here, which is going to reduce the armor on all these different Tomb King units, most notably the Grave Guard. Direwolves have gotten us around on these Tomb Guard, and due to their low armor, they will do some decent damage. We've got a Skeleton Warrior summon from Archon the Black, even as we have zombie summons from Himmler. Feasters in the Dusk are going to get a charge here against these Tomb Guard, who are trying to pull away a little bit anyway. So they are getting healed. Looks like the dogs are coming back in to get a flanker rear charge. Over here, there's a ton of units charging in from all directions. Corpse Cart does need to get closer. It's a little too far away. It's not providing any of its buffs or heals to local units. Fellbats do swoop in, trying to keep the archers occupied, whereas the Necrosphinx is just sort of waddling on top of all of them. Blood Knights look like they're looking for an entry point. Looks like this unit's going to barrel in here. Toss around some Tomb Guard for good measure. These halberds are going to have to pick a flank to kind of go in. Oh, we got Himmler in here coming in on one of the Necrotechs, and he will whip up on a Necrotech in close combat. Yeah, Himmler's got a much higher melee defense, and his melee attack is more than good enough to chew this Necrotech up and spit him out. Krell is running around chasing after the Shopti with the Great Bows, though I think he might change his target to Archon if Archon gets too close. Corpse Guard has moved in now and is providing local buffs. Another Spirit Leech goes down on Himmler, but Himmler's still doing pretty well health-wise and should be able to heal through it. The Necrosphinx has committed to the Blood Knights. These other Blood Knights need to pull way closer. I don't know why they're so far back. Because they would be really, really helpful for countering this Necrosphinx, who potentially has overextended a bit. A Soul Blight does go down in counter to this upgraded Invocation of the Heck, and the Blood Knights are getting the hell out of dodge, which is pretty smart. Himmler, though, took a ton of damage when I wasn't looking. Oh my god. I don't know what... I'm guessing the Soul Blight comboed with something. Maybe the Spirit Leech plus the Necrotech? I'm not sure what just did so much damage to him, but he is shredded. But he does have the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, keeping him safe for right now. There is not any magical damage outside of Archon's spells. and the shooting attacks from the Bone Giant. So he'll be safe as long as that is up. The Grave Guard have won their little battle here, and should be able to run forward and get engaged. And one of these guys has a toaster for a computer, I swear to goodness. The Blood Knights have reunited and are probably looking for an opening on some of the large units. They could come over to this flank and absolutely devastate it before anything was really able to react. Man, this is some serious lag. Come on. Come on. No, Red-Eyed. I think that's a perfectly viable reason to root against a faction. Alright, so we've got the Necrosphinx, who has the Elixir of Might, so he is fully buffed. It looks like it's about to wear off, though, but he is at, like, max power levels coming in on these Blood Knights here. It would be ideal for the Blood Knights to just countercharge him and sandwich him between the two units. It's thinking about going full speed. He does go for a charge there, but just kind of whiffs. The Fellbats and the Blood Knights are able to take out the unit of Skeleton Archers, so they're gone. So the only thing left are the Bow Shopti and the Bone Giant, as far as range fire is concerned. The Vampire Counts have won almost the entire front line, or at least this left flank here. Bow Shopti are starting to get off shots, even though they're kind of engaged. They must have guard stance on, but Fellbats are swooping in, which will prevent them from shooting. Another Spirit Leech does go down on Heinrich Himmler, and he is at max healing cap. And Archon, Archon the Black comes in from behind with the steel chair and cuts his health in half before the Spirit Leech has even, like, gotten half. Wow, that was brutal. Himmler needs to hide inside of his Grave Guard so that he's safe. Okay, so Himmler's pulled back to a fairly safe distance. Grave Guard are starting to surround Archon the Black. If Himmler can get off a decent enough summon to get a good surround here, then Archon could get punished for this. Necrotech's about half health. The other Necrotech is just about on death's door. Blood Knights are wailing on the Bone Giant, and this is looking really bad for the Tomb Kings. The only thing they've really got going for them is that the Necrosphinx is still alive. Oh, no! There it is. There's the death sound for Himmler. He's only got 400 health left, and he is going down. However, the White King... Where is the White King? I think the White King's dead. Oh, no. The White King's still alive, and Kreller's still alive. Which means that the leadership of the Vampire Counts is still holding. Himmler will be around for just another couple seconds. Maybe he has time to get off one last spell. He is degenerating, though. The final Shopti summon... Oh, no. That was a Skeleton Warrior summon. Okay, so some more Skeleton Warriors have been summoned. Oh, and Himmler falls flat on his face, dead to the world. However, the battle's not over yet. The Bow Shopti are being overwhelmed by Fellbats, funny enough, and they are really starting to feel it. Looks like Archon does pop that Skeleton Summon to try and buy him some time to get the hell away from this massive clump of undead. These Skeleton Warriors are trying to finish off the Corpse Cart, but it looks like the Corpse Cart is actually winning that particular engagement due to the just difference in health. The Skeleton Warrior, or this Tomb Guard unit is reinforcing, but they're being flank charged by Grave Guard, so the Grave Guard will win that engagement. The Necrosphinx is not looking good. He's got 2 units of Blood Knights, 1 on each side, and they're doing a ton of damage. And I'm pretty sure the Necrotect is all out of spice. Oh, nope, there goes a Restore. So the last Restore is popped on the Necrosphinx, which will heal him, but he is degenerating awfully quickly due to his low leadership. So right now, Restore isn't actually healing him. It's just mitigating the collapse of his health. Hopefully it lasts long enough for the Tomb Kings that all of the Blood Knights are dead, thanks to the Tomb Guard with halberds. Feature in the Dust, though, are tearing apart said Tomb Guard, and the Shopti are getting off shots somehow, despite Fellbats being on them. Blood Knights do try to pull back. If they pull back enough, they could potentially make it to the Corpse Cart and get healed, but I doubt it. At this point, it looks like the Tomb Kings are trying to fall back a little bit to get those ranged units firing into this combat. But there is still a very healthy White King leading this contention over here, about to kill this other Necrotect. The Unholy Lodestone Corpse Cart is still providing plenty of heals to this large pocket of undead here. And this Necrosphinx is not looking good. He's got the features of the Dusk on him, so he's poisoned, so his movement is lowered along with his stats. There's a unit of Grave Guard wrapping around the side, which if they get into the Necrosphinx could be enough to bring it down. Looks like they're coming around the side. Back pulls the arrow. A little bit too close of a point-blank shot, unfortunately, so they don't take a ton of damage. Hopefully he doesn't go after the Ushati with a Great Bow. At this point, I would just pull back around and focus on finishing off the this pocket of melee units here. Finish off the melee units, then Zardar has to commit to the big melee. Big fire shot goes into the unholy Lodestone Corpse Cart, which is causing it to start degenerating. It is at its healing cap. Necrosphinx is trying to pull back, but he's at such low health, I don't think there's really a lot he can do. Corpse Cart gets obliterated by another big shot. Looks like he's cycle charging back in. He doesn't have a lot of units left. He's going in for the White King, it looks like. These Tomb Guard are all that's left, keeping the Vampire Counts or the Tomb King's army afloat. White King does pop Heroic Killing Blow, and he is wailing on the Necrosphinx, and down it goes! Oh, scattering everybody beneath its tread. Another full unit, skeleton unit summon goes down underneath the Bone Giant, which could be good for the Tomb Kings. If they get a full surround on the White King, that will negatively impact his leadership and cause him to potentially start crumbling. But here, there's a very healthy Graveguard unit chasing after these Ushabti. And once these units here are dead, then the Tomb Kings have to commit to the fight. The Bone Giant's trying to run, but unfortunately for him, the White King is able to shuffle after him at a fairly equivalent speed. Looks like the Graveguard are changing position to go after him instead. Archon looks like he maybe takes a little bit of damage from the charge from the White King, but the White King gets punted for his efforts. Looks like the Feasters in the Dust now are going after Archon. Archon needs to be careful. Feasters in the Dusk are very fast, and if they catch him, they will apply poison, which will slow him down. Bone Giant has a little bit of a Graveguard infestation. White King is pulling a Matrix and dodging all those Bow Shopty shots, and is now in a final battle against Archon the Black, trying to catch him, get him engaged, slow him down enough. This Skeleton Warrior summon isn't going to last too much longer. White King does go in against the Bone Giant, trying to get revenge for his master Kemmler. Archon the Black does come in with a nasty rear charge and manages to poke poor old White King in the back of the head. If I were the Vampire Counts, I would just leave a token zombie unit to fight this unit and just bring the rest of my army around. But it looks like the Graveguard and the White King do have the power needed to drag down this Bone Giant. He is starting to crumble. Leadership's at minus 24. He took a nice 200 damage hit there from the White King, who is trying to stay on Archon. If this thing crumbles and goes down, it's pretty much game over for the Tomb Kings. Looks like Archon's charging in again, trying to get something done, but Heroic Killing Blow is popped by the White King. And he's going to just be able to swing at this Bone Giant and just absolutely bring down the Giant here. Oh, but he gets knocked over again by Archon the Black. At this point, I would just put a wall of spears between Archon the Black and the White King. That way he can't keep cycle charging. The Bone Giant's crumbling, and down he goes. Boom. Alright, Bone Giant's gone. Skeleton summons are gone, so the Tomb Kings have to commit something into battle without cycle charging. So it looks like it's Archon the Black that's being fed to the meat grinder now. I don't think there's anything the Tomb Kings can do to bring this back. As long as this White King is standing, the Vampire Counts have more than enough of a leadership structure to keep them alive. And Archon does not have the combat stats to survive too long against this. The Shopti are being caught. Alright, look at this. Okay, so the Shopti need to stay in. Alright. Oh, there goes Archon's curse. If Archon could generate enough magic to get a Spirit Leech off, he might be able to get a win in. That curse is going to help a bunch. It's going to do a ton of damage. Oh, the Sternsmen are still up, though. Sternsmen are still up with plenty of healing. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything the Tomb Kings can do at this point. Except for a giant Skeleton Warrior summon. That could do it. Wow, that was a really good bait. How much have you missed, Cassier? Most of the cast tournaments. This is the last of the semifinal matches. Unfortunately, we're having quite a bit of lag this match. I'm not sure why. I know we're good on my end. Somebody dropping? I mean, right now the balance of power is dead even. I will say if the game drops for some reason right now, I'm going to give the win to the vampire counts. Though it looks like the Toon Kings might legitimately be able to pull it back. Your game was super laggy, Dasik. Dasik, remind me who you fought again? I got your name right. Do famous battles in Warhammer ever stop because of lag? Yeah, sometimes. It's technically a thing of the realm of chaos. Alright, so as long as this skeleton unit is standing, it's technically not wrong for Zardar to cycle charge. He's got to keep that White King safe. This is so spooky. Because Archon hits really hard on the charge. Because he has good stats. White King just needs to stay safe. Oh, no! No! Oh, no! I think that clutch skeleton summon is going to win the Toon Kings the game. Oh, no. Oh, that's heartbreaking. The only thing left is the Stearnsman. Oh, yeah, balance of power is starting to tip. And those bow shop... I hate bow shopty. This has happened to me in so many games. The bow shopty managed to get away from me. Yeah, I think this is... Oh, man, what a game. That was, like, it sucks that the game was so laggy, because I really think it took a lot of the... excitement out of it, so to speak. I think if this game... Like, if I were to show y'all a replay of this game, I bet it would be very exciting in real time. Oh, another skeleton summon! Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's game. That is totally game. They should definitely send this one to turn, though. I'd love to see this game in full speed. I'm actually going to tell them that. Would one of y'all send me the replay to this? No! I wasn't done typing. Man. What a game. I really thought the Vampire Counts had that. They did such a good job taking out all of the constructs and all of the infantry. That stupid bow shopty unit was just too good. It's too maneuverable. And what ranged attacks Zardar managed to get in, he did a brilliant job killing off important targets. You know, he took out the corpse cart, did a lot of damage to the Blood Knights, took out Kemmler. Heartbreaking. One of y'all send me replay, please. Great game. Alright, so we are off to the finals. Finals are Zardar versus is it Gabo Slayer? No, it's King of the Dead. We got a mirror match, boys. Looks like Tomb King's back on the menu. Oops. Joined the wrong game. Great showing, though. Finals. There we go. Well, it's an Undead mirror match, but at least it's a Tomb King mirror match, not a Vampire Count mirror match. Because I don't care what anybody says, a Vampire Count mirror match, those are agony. Unless one of them brings Wind of Death. If one of them has Wind of Death, it's not so bad. But if it's just like two Vampire Count players with like Raise Dead and Invocation of the Heck, it's like, oh man, buckle in. And just a reminder, folks, this will be the last week with this rule format. Next week, we're going to have a more restrictive. Rule set, which is going to push players to have even more balanced, quote unquote, armies that you probably don't see a lot, where they will be. You'll see. I'll explain it in a video that comes out tomorrow. Well, we got the Throwdown of the Tomb Kings. We got a melee. We have a melee construct army versus a hybrid melee ranged army. Oh, by the way, if you're interested to join one of these tournaments, all you need to join. I'm gonna hijack. I'm going to hijack Turin's tournament Discord for the ECL League, since the ECL League's done for now. Hold on, let me actually get an invite to it. So just go to that Discord. And I will, tomorrow, I will drop by there and look for people who want to play. And it's first come, first serve. Cassier, yep. So yes, you're going to have, it's going to be based on 8th edition rules, where 25% of your army has to be basic units. A max of 50% of your army can be special, 25% rare, yada, yada, yada. You won't need the army books to know what is what. I will release a document, I'll release a PDF or Word document that has every single army in it, so that all you have to do is the math. But it's something, the reason I'm releasing the rules a week in advance is because you'll actually have to get out a calculator and do math. St. Augustine, I do think they will, yes. Math? Oh god, no! Not math! Joseph, no. Miners will be core. Yeah, I'll release the rule set tomorrow. And there will be a video and with links and all that other jazz. Welcome to Math Hammer. The true gentleman's sport. Only the top 5% most intelligent can do this game. I keep forgetting that this map isn't the map I think it is, because if you play Averheim in custom battles, it takes you to Averheim. If you play Averheim in multiplayer, it takes you here for some reason. But this map works fine. Snowy Norskin island with elf architecture island. Averheim. Alright, so just a quick reminder for anyone that's just joining us now for the finals. On one side, we have the Tomb Kings led by Archon the Black. Over here, actually. He's got 4 units of Skeleton Warriors for a front line, 2 units of Tomb Guard for a mid line with a back line of Tomb Guard with Halberds, single unit of Skeleton Archers, Bone Giant, Necro Sphinx, Archon the Black with all of his items, and Soul Blight and Spirit Leech, Bow Shopti, 2 Necrotechs. Meanwhile, in this corner, we've got more Tomb Kings, but this time they're led by Grand Hierophant Katep, who also has his 2 Necrotech bodyguards. But this time, he's got 3 Tomb Guard with Halberds, 3 Spearmen, one of which is King Takesh's Scorpion Legion, and 3 Ushabti and 2 Tomb Scorpions, along with 2 Skeleton Horsemen. So although we have 2 Tomb King armies, they are very different. They're relying on very different strategies and units. So I'm curious to see which will come out on top. Yeah, we're going into the Bone Zone. I love their little Wonder Woman, the little lasso of truth whip they have. This is what a real Wonder Woman looks like. So it begins. I think this is going to be a fairly difficult battle for Zardar. If he doesn't do a ton of damage before the lines meet, King of the Dead does have superior melee forces by a long shot. Granted, there is a Necrosphinx there to try and equalize the situation, but... Ugh. That's one Ushabti down. These Skeleton Horsemen are going to be so important, though. Another one bites the dust. Oh, nope, he's fine. Never mind, just kidding. Another thing, though, is that while Archon the Black's army may be outnumbered in melee fights, he does have the Sword of Archon, so he can summon skeleton warrior units to help bolster his line. It's another Ushabti down. And another one. Wow, he had 3 arrows sticking out of him. Katep does need to be careful. He's on foot. And, oh, he does have his, he has the Lich Staff, though. So all of Archon's abilities were on cooldown for just a little. Every time Grand Hierophant casts a spell, the Lich Staff activates, which gives all enemies a 15-second recharge on their abilities. So that's like 15 seconds that Archon the Black can't summon and can't use magic. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we already had a Whirlwind summon that did a bunch of damage to these archers. A Spirit Leech already went down on Katep, but he took it pretty well. The Tomb Scorpions have dived in whole hog against the Necrotech, which is a pretty interesting move. If he gets that buff popped on him, the Elixir of Might, he will definitely school the crap out of these two. But it looks like what they're trying to maybe do is get these Skeleton Warriors out of the way. That way all these Spearmen can gang up on him. So the Horsemen are riding in now, trying to take over the back line. The Skeleton Warriors over here on this part of the front line have already been completely annihilated, and the Tomb Guard are pushing through along with some Ushabti support. One of the Tomb Scorpions is below half health. He does have Restore active, and he's trying to get the hell out of dodge. One of the Necrotechs is leading the fight with some friendly Spearman boys against the Necrosphinx, who is now completely isolated. He does have a Restore and the Elixir of Might on him right now. Those Tomb Scorpions need to get the hell out of here as long as that ability is active, because he will hit. I mean, he has 71 melee attack and hits so hard right now. Alright, we already have the summon up from Archon the Black side, coming up here to help deal with this massive Ushabti force that is wailing on the Bone Giant. King of the Dead is looking pretty good so far. Looks like Hierophant was hit with another 2 Spirit Leeches since then. His health is getting awfully low, and Archon might be... Oh, looks like Archon's slipping around the back, and he's coming for Kotep. Kotep is really isolated, and Archon has much, much higher melee stats. You can tell Kotep is trying to get inside his melee line to protect him, and he looks like he manages to slip inside, though he does take a little bit of damage. The Bone Giant has taken quite a bit of damage. The Necrotect is falling back to looks like take up the fight against Archon along with the Ushabti. Another big storm goes down, trying to do some damage to the Tomb Guard, and it turns back into them and cuts their health in half. What a... Oh, no! No! Oh, God! Wow, that did like 75% of their health. That was a great storm. Another Spirit Leech going down on Kotep. Kotep just needs to keep spamming magic as much as he can. Some Spearmen that, and some Tomb Guard that need to get into the fight as quickly as possible. Time is of the essence against Archon the Black. Because the longer Archon is allowed to just hang out and do whatever he wants, the more Spirit Leeches he's going to get off with no penalty. Here, the Necrosphinx jumps on Kotep, who does Overcast. It sounded like Incantation of Protection somewhere. And Kotep is getting bullied pretty hard, but almost the entire army of Zardar is dead. All he has left are the Boshapti, a single unit of Tomb Guard, and down goes Kotep. Kotep just gets impaled by the Necrosphinx, but the Necrosphinx is completely isolated except for Archon and has taken a ton of damage. Halberds and double Tomb Scorpions are on him. He's not going to be able to get away from these guys. These Tomb Scorpions are very fast. If they start activating their charge animation, they will be able to catch him, but it looks like he is able to successfully fall back. Looks like he's immediately turning around to dive into these Ushabti, but they are already onto him. They come in and they block his charge because it looks like he's trying to get back to the Necrotex. He eats a ton of charge damage from these forces. Another Spirit Leech going down on the Necrotect, and a big unit of Skeleton Warriors is summoned, but it's too little, too late as the Necrosphinx collapses due to a lack of leadership. Here, we've still got some Skeleton Spearmen that aren't doing anything. These guys would be really useful if they were committed to chasing down these... Oh, nope, there they go. Looks like they're going after the Boshapti, which is perfect. Archon the Black does have some Tomb Guard back here that really need to charge into this force here and provide as an anchor because they are the only thing Archon's got going for him. These Skeleton Warrior summons are not going to do... Excuse me. They're not going to do as well here as they did against the Vampire Counts, and the main reason is that against the Vampire Counts didn't have any really big like melee infantry that were able to push through. But these Ushabti and these Tomb Scorpions are going to make a mockery of these Skeleton Warrior summons. Looks like the Boshapti have been almost fully caught and surrounded, and they're starting to just completely fall apart. Their leadership is really, really low. They haven't shattered just yet, but they are crumbling, and they're moments away from shattering if the Tomb Kings can't get them away fast enough. Necrotechs are getting just ripped limb from limb by these Tomb Scorpions who are avenging the great Hierophant Kotep. The Skeleton Summon is gone. Looks like the Tomb Guard are managing to take out the Hatch the Scorpion Legion, but this is an ideal fight for to catch the Scorpion Legion. They have both units in their front, so they're not taking any melee defense penalties, and they also have poison attacks, so they are lowering the stat line of these Tomb Guard. Another Spirit Leech goes off on this Necrotect, but I don't think all the Spirit Leeches in the world would save Zardar right now. He just isn't. There's no way in hell he's going to have enough Winds of Magic to kill this Necrotect and deal with all the Tomb Scorpions. Ooh, they come in on Archon the Black, and they are doing a ton of damage on those charges. Looks like the Boshapti are falling even further back, just trying to get to some semblance of safety. Looks like the Tomb King, it looks like Zardar's Tomb Kings might be trying to pull a repeat of last game, where he fought with his army and then just started running away and using the Skeleton Summons to technically stay in combat, which is allowed within the rules that we've used for this tournament. However, Archon does have a little bit of a problem in this round, as the Vampire Counts did not have anything fast, and in this game there are two Tomb Scorpions that are going in for Archon's butt, and they are not giving up till they get a pinch of it. Looks like Zardar's Necrotect has pretty much shattered, and he is going down in just a few seconds, along with this unit of Tomb Guard. This unit of Tomb Guard is nearing Death's Door, and will, once this full Legion turns its attention over here. Archon has slipped around the back, and it looks like he's going to go in for a charge on this
Necrotect here, and does he get it? He does hit him. Does he kill him? No. The Necrotect's melee defense manages to save him. And it looks like Archon is not in a good place. He's being blocked in by some guys that get slapped away by the Tomb Scorpion, unfortunately. And his curse goes off, doing a ton of damage. Look at all that damage. Oh my god. But all that damage procs a Realm of Souls, which is now counteracting the curse by healing them. Oh, and the bow Ushabti completely collapsed. Oh, they shattered with the Ushabti summon, which leaves Archon all by himself. And down he goes. All right. Great tournament. Great tournament. And Grand Hierophant Katep under the King of the Dead, who has proven that he is deserving of the title, as he is the greatest Tomb King player here today. And King of the Dead claims victory. Congrats on winning. Being this week's champion. Alright, guys. So, that definitely gives me some interesting feedback for as I'm looking into the rules for next week. Clearly, the Tomb Kings are probably a little strong in this format. Like, a little too strong. So, I will be double checking the rules I'm going to be implementing to ensure that the Tomb Kings don't necessarily have as easy of a time. I'm pretty sure being forced to take 25% core is going to bring their army down quite a bit. But we'll see what happens. I'll definitely be doing some testing before the tournament next week to ensure that things are looking good. But in any event, that is going to wrap us up for today. So we're going to throw on some music on the outro. If you guys have any questions, yeah, DJ Katep brought down the house and the competition today. What a guy. What a man. What a champion. But I think that pretty much wraps us up for today. If you've got any questions, I will hang around for just a minute to answer any of them. Also, if you enjoyed the stream, please consider hitting the like button on your way out. I'd really like to get above 100 likes, and we've got 91. We're so close. So, if we could slip in nine more little likes there, I'd be so appreciative. News on the RPG. The one with players, there will be more news after January 1st. The new RP that will be featuring players from this community, there will be more news on that in the new year. What was Katep doing Nagash's reign? Katep was one of the leaders of the mortuary cult, but Nagash banished them during his reign. So he was essentially forced out of power, and they were exiles for a while. Oh yeah, Katep was alive during Nagash's time. Yeah, he was totally alive. He was already pretty freaking old at that point. Ah, we got over 100 likes. Thank you, chat. I appreciate it. Alright, well, I'm going to go work on rendering the video of the RP for tomorrow. It was a really good session, so it was a hilarious session, so I hope you guys will really enjoy it. In any event, I'm going to allow some music to play for a minute as you all head out for the day. And then I'm going to go get food because I haven't eaten yet today. So thanks for watching, guys. See you next week for the next entry in Sotek's Tabletop Tournament.
mutations, yeah.
I tried to summon a skeleton warrior in the beginning, and I got hit by
Yeah.
that buff. But instead of adding a 15-second cooldown, it added like a minute or something. Why the fuck did that happen?
Maybe.
Not
Oh, maybe things you casted it already, and that's why it added a minute. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it actually could prevented your cast.
So it, if I hadn't
Oh yeah,
cast
it
it at that
prevented your
time,
cast, and that's why it added
Oh.
all the time.
oh yeah,
The like 5 seconds
Okay, Sotek.
casted, right? The skeletons are casted for 5 seconds. Cast
Ah.
time of skeletons. And if in this period, man, this is next strategy.
Next level stress.
fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Like, okay, 15 seconds cooldown. I gotta wait, but it wrote on the icon 56 seconds or something, and I was like, what the fuck?
But I mean, you
Wait,
guys played.
Honestly, I want to say, is Sotek talking? Because I can't hear him.
Yeah, I can't hear him too.
I can't.
Sotek,